Hi, Ibrahim. Good morning.
Good morning, Gunter.
Well, you are one of the trailblazers in the service provider industry. Tell us more about TELUS.
I think we're trailblazing. We've taken a little bit of a very different vector as an organization. So we're medium-sized for all the viewers who are listening to this. Approximately almost 10, 20 million subscribers in a variety of mixtures. And we started in 2000 saying we're all IP. And we think the internet is going to make the world different. Like that's before digital was in vogue. And people thought we were crazy and dreamers and never right. So we're pretty big on enablement and connectivity to enable. And our investments in health made us one of the largest, probably, digital health providers in the world out of Canada. And now we're working the same with the investments in precision agriculture. It's always, if you notice, there's a theme to TELUS, like what generates better outcome. So speaking as the chief geek or the technologist, yes, the technology excites me to no end. But in my role, it has to generate better outcomes. So either more rapid deployment, more agile deployment for services, or better outcomes for my customers. Anywhere from safety, health, better yield. And then, yes, there's something role for technology for the sake of technology, but we are motivated towards, I think we just look at all these technology disruptions saying, how does it move the yardstick forward? And then we might not be where the end state is, but that does mean it's a journey rather than sticking to what we have and accumulating technical debt. I don't think people get. Every time you're in the current mode of operations, you're making it more difficult to go to the FMO. So as long as you know what you're into, I think it's a much better place. So that's given us the launch pad to continuously innovate and think of better outcomes.
Fantastic. So when you think about better outcomes too, there is this notion of, you need to have the fastest bandwidth and the lowest latency when it comes to the smart home or the immersive experience like a metaverse where you need to connect AR, VR type of devices, but even an 8K television and make sure that even an HD video conferencing is working flawlessly. So what are you doing to deliver the ultimate subscriber experience?
I like the way you say it, because as soon as somebody says, Brahim, why are you talking about AR, VR, or the metaverse? Like, you're providing pipes. It's very true. At some level, I am. But assuming there's no value-added service, and we are actually we're investing a lot in what we call the digital life, which is the ecosystems or APIs that actually make you see the benefits. We're talking about outcome, but I want to stick with the pipes. For those who want to ingest pipes, I want the smartest pipes and the most profitable pipes for whatever they're doing. And I think it'll be amiss not to think of what applications are riding on top. Something as simple as Pokemon. Before we get to the metaverse, if you use it on AR, VR, you'll realize you need bandwidth, you need low latency. Now the question is how, as we as an industry, can get people to pay differentiated. Like in our hunger for saying, I have 5G, or I have 4G, or I have 10G, we forget that let's monetize it right. Not to charge the customer more, but let's charge them right for what they're using. I think we need to give people that choice. And there's enough triggers with 5G done right that you do see this happening.
But you brought up also 5G, and obviously everybody knows now, with the advent of the 5G Open RAN kind of, architecture, and really a lot of deployments or at least trials going on globally. I know you're a big proponent of it. Why?
I use 5G as an example because I've been public that 5G is yet another G, sadly. There's a transformational piece on the network infrastructure. And I think one of the challenges is that there's been a cost crunch on the classical radio, traditional RAN vendors. And they had to prioritize the world. So I live in Canada. So by spend, we're behind Korea, which is like 13 or 14 in the world. So if you were a global provider, we're the 14th of your priority. And the spectrum strategy dictates that. So Open RAN gives us the flexibility to disaggregate the piece and potentially pay more for some pieces, but get them in time for our market.
Yeah.
So it does three things. It disaggregates the network, which is where everybody's going, whether they like it or not. It's the next phase of NFV. It's the next phase of what we need to do as an industry to get better resiliency.
Yeah.
One. Two, it gives you the independence of the Lego blocks. You're still buying the Lego blocks. Like, it's not like we're going to manufacture Lego blocks, but at least I can make an ugly base station that works for me versus something really beautiful that's done with the disappearance of Lucent and AT&T and, Lucent, AT&T, Alcatel, Nortel, Siemens.
Yep.
I have to be honest, like from a holistic RAM providers, there's Huawei, Samsung, Ericsson, Nokia, and ZTE. And because of the politics, there's been a ban of Chinese from the Western world. So can you imagine my life when I have three vendors to pick from? I'm not saying they're agreeing on what to do, but we need as an industry to open up competition. It's not just prices, it's innovation.
Very true. Very true. Couldn't agree more. Yeah. And that brings me to another point about innovation. You under your leadership, TELUS is actually perceived today as one of the visionaries. So what are some of the key programs you and your team are working right now on?
Gunter, I have to say the DNA of the company is about not taking risks, but about being able to look at things differently to see how it can improve.
Yeah.
So my team, myself, have been given the go-ahead to actually, whenever something in technology comes around, is how does it disrupt?
Yeah.
Not just how do I deploy.
Okay.
Which I think that's in the DNA. I think we've got a great team. We look at things that I think from an operator point of view saying, the technology's there. Why isn't it happening?
Yeah.
And there's politics, there's incumbency, there's vendor X who's selling you these goods, they don't want to sell you these, like it'll disrupt their ecosystem. But it's up to us to sit down and look at it, not just as a science experiment.
Yeah.
So we have four priorities. So O-RAN is a small piece giving us the freedom on the radio, not from my current vendors.
Yeah.
The freedom to do when I want what I want. That's people are not getting that.
Right.
So that's what it does with this aggregation. So that's one main element.
Yeah.
The second one is people say, oh, is it public cloud? Is it private cloud? Is it MV? That doesn't really matter. People are missing the boat. Today, every operator in the world has redundancy through side A and side B.
Sure.
So that means 50% of my capacity is idle at any point in time. How stupid is that?
Yeah, that's
So in the new world,
economically tricky.
People say, why do you like disaggregated networks? It's just, it gives you N+1.
Absolutely.
I just need capacity available for the largest piece that might go out, not 50 to 50. So it's a one-time capital saving. So it's not going to make us a lot of money, but it's better friggin' hygiene. like when's the last time you did something that you only used half of?
It's wasteful.
So think about it that way, right?
Yeah.
So that's the second priority. The third, we are an all IP company. We're not going to be embarrassed to say we actually know how data networks work.
Yeah.
Wireless business, which I come from that part of the world, is 10 years behind the wireline business and the internet. So there's many elements from many different parts of the network between what we do on video, what we do on mobile edge compute, what we do on the core, what we do on actual VPN services. All these have IP routing in them. So these are the three main projects.
Yeah.
And the fourth is more of a institutional things. So we got a great AI and analytics team, but our vision is it's not just our jobs.
Yeah.
If the company is going to be software-based, insights-driven, it's everybody's job. So my fourth pillar is very much a culture, and I'm blessed with like a head of analytics, head of trust, and a head of security that are best in class in the world. It's secure, trusted, and insights by design. These guys could report to somebody on the moon, but they got to come together because in the end, it's about trust, privacy, security, and the analytics to run things.
You know, I wouldn't be sitting here if I wouldn't ask you the question, what do you value the most about DCS?
DZS, to me, lives the values that implement some of my priorities. Let me explain. So everybody says, oh, but telcos can't build stuff, just like governments can't operate networks. 100% right.
Yeah.
But today, with the right architecture, I can personalize. So some of the work we're doing with DZS that says, let you control your own destiny, not to build the engine of the car, but Brahim, maybe you can get a small team and friggin' build a steering wheel.
Yeah.
So that's what we've done. And I look at the efforts on orchestration. People say, oh, well, you save money. You have 5 people, you've done it versus pay Nokia or a Netcracker or an Amdocs or an IBM money. Yeah, I saved money there. But I did it in 3 friggin' days on my priorities. That's what people are not getting.
Yeah.
So yes, there's money savings, but that's noise in the system. It is the freedom and the fact that you're able to self-prioritize. So how do I build the architectures and how do I get the right partners that make me do that? And DZS is one of them.
Obviously, we feel very blessed about this partnership with you, and from the top to everybody in the engineering team, because we have truly a partner who understands the technology, but also the capabilities, how we can help you to be
Gunter,
successful.
I'm going to interrupt you. One metric. 6 weeks to 3 days is our last comparison between what we did before from an end-to-end orchestration to now.
So it's not even close.
It's not close. It's like saying, oh my God, I went from 100 kilometers an hour to 110 kilometers an hour. It's like I've gone from riding a donkey to driving a car.
So final question for you today. I'd like to tell you the story or the vision, what you have for TELUS by 2030, by 2035. Where do you see the company in the next 10, 15 years?
Let me be clear on some things that we better have solved by 2030 and 2035.
Okay, that's fair.
And I have network priorities and I have I have customer priorities.
Sure.
So on the network side, there's no more idea of, well, do we do a disaggregated or unaggregated network? I envision small ecosystems of neighborhood to be self-sustaining. Well, that's where we need to be in 2030 from a network point of view.
Okay.
The other piece is you stop wearing whether it's cellular, satellite, which we're seeing improvements, or Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
You shouldn't give a shit as a customer. What does that mean we got to do? So it means IP networks. It means a switch fiber grid versus self-purpose. So it'll take a while. The third piece, which I think I don't want to forget it at all, we all announced sustainability, ESR targets. We better have a plan. So yes, we're going to save money by exiting our central offices at some levels and going to the public cloud. But that's just shifting the blame from one area, shifting the garbage from one side of the house to the other. I think we owe it to ourselves to do things like adaptive networking.
Yeah.
Where like what I'd like to do, and I'm not sure my marketing guys will be aligned, is have an app that tells you how much you've wasted.
That's true.
I think you as a user don't know how much carbon footprint you waste. Like I love what the airline's saying. I'm giving you a tax on carbon footprint, so I'm being a geek. I email them. So how much did I generate, like flying that airline? They don't tell you. They just tell you we're taxing the carbon footprint. I think it's just like calorie intake. Like, like I don't know about you, but for a while I had that app that tells me everything I ate if I recorded how many calories. I think what's something that the problem is when we eat or overeat, it impacts just us and our loved ones. But every time you waste, you impact the whole society and the country. So I think we need a place to sit down and do this counter. So when you say what's happening, I see that happening by 2030, 2035, us having mechanisms. On the customer life, I really urge, there's a bunch of standards bodies, but I urge the big players to stop trying to own the clients. So TELUS has embarked on, can I at least for my subscribers get what I call digital life working, which we're investing in. So at least some of the APIs work. You don't need to buy everything from the same vendor. To give you that flexibility as a consumer. I think whether they like it or not, that's happening. Like they're the kind of pseudo open closed systems will be passé by 2030. So you'll actually be able to go get any smart light bulb that'll work with your ecosystem. Get any smart curtain that will work versus, it has to be this kind. You should let the market decide where things are going.
That's very true. It's truly inspiring to hear you talking about the vision and the position what you as TELUS also want to take over the next 10 to 15 years. And it wasn't just enlightening. I want to thank you for your time. It was eye-opening for me to finally understand what the agenda, and for you the priorities and the overall vision, and just your risk-taking culture, where it takes TELUS, but also all your 10 to 20 million Canadian customers. And more, obviously, and growing.
By 2030, Gunter.
Absolutely. I mean, and this is what is really, not, as you mentioned earlier, heartwarming, but it is more than just inspiring to see an operator, a carrier, to really think outside of the box of not just providing connectivity or hyperfast connectivity, but really thinking about the services, how you can enrich lives and communities moving forward.
Like better outcomes.
Better outcomes.
Better health outcomes, better safety outcomes, working with all these institutions. And I really give you guys credit. You've been an amazing partner, and I only hope things will keep growing and will infect others around the world to do what we're doing.
Let's do it together. Thanks so much, Ibrahim.
Thank you, Gunter. Nice meeting you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.